Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Working our way towards 2023, Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, back in Chicago. Cody Del Mendo, back in studio. Yeah, we're okay. Everybody simmer down. Now we're 4 minutes late. I've never been on a divvy bike. So,
you know what a divvy bike is?
The guys in the chat that are blaming me because my divvy bike wasn't right. I've never been on a divvy bike.
The audacity that everyone just blames me for being late, even though I was here before Ryan was today.
But I wasn't late, so.
But I wasn't late that one time that everyone wants to assume that I was late. I walked in with a few minutes before. With a few minutes.
You guys both made it.
Yeah, made it.
We're here on time.
I've never been late.
We were here early enough.
I've never been late.
Yeah, you came close one time.
We were here early enough to play baseball in the office. That's how early we were.
I mean, Ryan, that one time we literally started the show before he was on set.
That's right.
Well,
the music had started and Ryan coming through the door.
Moving my car.
Yeah.
This is a different story.
He was here, but he couldn't find a parking spot, and I will give him some credit. That's not his fault.
I mean, honestly, you just pay for parking on Madison, or pay for parking somewhere.
Nah.
It's his fault.
West Loop parking is not easy.
We had Corey on the show, so we already had 3.
Yeah, you got to factor it in.
Take that in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Corey was on the show, so we already had 3, so it's okay.
Nady Pie said he has abandonment issues. Please start on time so I don't have another freak out. Sorry, Nady.
Well, if you're following us on Twitter, I did say we'll be momentary. We're coming. We're on our way.
A slight rain delay,
It might be my fault because I said see y'all at 120. Well, I didn't say we'd start at 120. I said see you at 120.
The Cubs game doesn't always start at 120.
Yeah.
Sometimes the guy that sounds like Sinatra really stretches out that final note, and it goes another 30 seconds. And then the warm-up takes a little bit longer, and then a beach ball flies into the outfield, and they got to pick that up. So that's what happened today.
And there's a beach ball on the field.
Right.
Unrelated.
Thank you, Law. I like that.
Unrelated, I tweeted Christmas night that Cassidy got me shoes for Christmas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is a big reveal.
And I said that if anyone could guess what they were, I would buy them CHGO swag. Well, no one guessed them. So I guess
so you all get nothing.
So no one's getting anything from me. But these are it. And they're NMDs. They're
nice.
They're Adidas. And me and her work out together a lot, and that's why she got them for me.
Did you wear like a different pair of shoes? And
yeah, my other pair of shoes over there.
Didn't want to wear the white shoes today.
No, they're too white right now for me to want to wear them outside.
Yeah,
Here's the problem with winter shoes, too. It's either sloppy like it's going to be later in the week where the slush is melting and then you can't wear anything out there, right? Or it's like when it's freezing cold and the dust from the salt is like flying in the air and your shoes end up being dusty.
Yeah.
It's a no-win for 6 months here.
I give people credit for trying because in the comments, my friend Ethan, shout out to him, he does sports out at one of the Rockford local television stations. He was in my mentions, known him for a while. Good dude. He Twitter searched. He had to have Twitter searched my handle in shoes, and he found an old tweet of mine from back in July where I took a picture of like my entire collection at home. But I said in that tweet that it was mine and hers. But a lot of people kept guessing like the Nike Blazers or like or Converse. But I had my NMDs at the very end of the shelf, and no one guessed them.
I was going to say, I saw those in that picture, and I'm like, I wonder if that's it. But then I'm like, I don't know what the name is. And
I ain't going to buy you swag.
Yeah, I was going to say, Cody's not going to buy me. It's not even worth tweeting.
I thought they were the leopard print, like 3/4 boots, but those apparently were not Cody's. Gary Ross says, who's the loaf to start the show, not start the show on time? There's no loafing here.
No. That is a Bears term. Monday loafs is something we do.
Monday loafs? Yeah, we don't loaf.
Yeah,
we don't loaf. We're just casual. Cash.
Sometimes
cash.
Sometimes life happens.
It's a different vibe here.
I mean, I'll take it if you want.
It's different here.
Yeah.
Cub how you want a cub.
Yeah, we're not telling you what to do.
Can we get Cody and stilettos?
Sean, can we get Cody and stilettos?
Absolutely
That's
Someday.
the Friday show. We don't do that as often.
That could
to
be,
lose a bet.
It's the Friday night after dark show.
That could be the loser of 2023. Who you got?
Maybe a West Coast.
CHGO Cubs after dark. That's a whole nother.
Weird hours.
Another series.
That one's
Weird
gonna
hours.
be fun.
How about this Carlos Correa thing?
Yeah.
Still has not officially signed with the Mets.
Wild.
And they are,
wild.
quote unquote, working on some things.
I don't know
Quote
what to think.
unquote.
I'm telling you, like, go ahead and just reach out to his agent and be like, he doesn't even have to take the physical. We'll give him $40 million for the next 2 seasons, and he can opt out after that.
It's just
Why not?
I guess.
When I look at this-
They're not going to win. Honestly,
I'm
they
with
wouldn't
you.
win with him anyways.
When I look
But-
at this and I'm like, will the Mets really let this fall through? It's like, because it's different when the Giants, they obviously didn't announce anything. The news got leaked that they hadn't reached an agreement, and then all that other stuff happened. This is like literally Steve Cohen on the record. I think it was to John Heyman, said like this was the missing piece, and we got him. Like Steve Cohen went on the record talking about getting Carlos Correa,
Which
and
now
then-
makes it even harder if they don't do this.
That's what I'm saying. It might make, in my eyes, makes it even worse. Like you literally it's not a leak of information that you never made public. Your owner went on the record and talked about getting Carlos Correa. Like that's a worse look to me.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
it's a worse look. It's also
is
a
very
bad
Mets.
look for Correa because whatever it is clearly enough for 2 major league teams now to be like,
at least on a decade-long deal. Now,
two teams desperately wanted to
Right.
sign him, and now they're both saying like,
now
can we talk for a second?
You know, I did a TikTok video talking about this today, and I talked about how, with it being, with the Giants 13 years, the Mets 12 years, that's a long time. That's a big investment into one player, and if they're seeing, if these health people within these organizations see this, I think their thing is they don't want it. Like they're now getting cold feet because of how long this deal is. I think that if you can get it, like I'm not even saying a 2 or 3 year, I'm saying like get them like a 4, 5, or 6 year deal with an opt out after next season or in 2 years, and then something like that. Like I'm not even saying to completely. I'm just saying to cut those years in half,
Just to make them even more competitive these next 2 years.
yeah, like.
Well, if you somehow snuck in, and I realize this is a crazy hypothetical, if you somehow snuck in and got Correa for a couple years with a questionable knee, I would say they become the favorite in the division. If you put Correa at third, Dansby at short, Nico at second, and I don't care who's playing first, Cody's at first. And with the Cubs pitching that they have coming along, they would become the favorite in the division.
Yeah, and I like. Sorry,
It-
go ahead.
it-
I was
at
going
the
to say,
very
even with
least be right
Arenado
there.
and Goldschmidt and those guys in St. Louis.
I like Trevor's comment where he said, "Feel like the Law just had it on the screen. Feel like the Twins handled it right last offseason. If there's actual concern with that leg, could just be a mercenary over the next few years and jump from contender to contender." The LeBron James contract. We talked about this way back. I think when he first signed that deal.
Yeah, would this be a trend?
Yeah, right. And clearly that didn't happen this winter
No, it
when
didn't.
all these players are signing 11, 13-year contracts. But maybe he's the outlier. Maybe this concern, like a deal of 13 years isn't going to happen. So he just goes out and keeps signing these 2-3 year deals with opt-outs every year until I don't know, maybe one team decides to give him that long-term deal, or he just keeps signing those until if it's 3 years but he can opt out after one. That still means even if he gets hurt or something, he still has 2 years under contract, right? So I don't know. It's
What is wild to me though is that like this whole thing, like quote unquote failing the physical, it's related to something that he hasn't had an issue with since he's been in the majors. Like he hasn't had a right or left leg injury or whatever it is.
Yeah, is there are they doing an MRI of the knee or something and it's showing that it's deteriorating, or are they looking at it and saying that's not likely to age very well, but they should know that before they even offered him the deal? That's why I
gigantic
wonder if
deal,
there's
yeah.
something new in an image that's like
That's why I'm putting on screen. What's the deal with Carlos Correa? 'Cause I don't understand. Like, what? Really? We've now had 2 teams.
Yeah.
Are getting
and
to
2
this
teams
point?
that were very invested in getting one of these.
And remember,
big-time
the
players.
Twins would have put him through the same physical last offseason. So really, it's 3 teams that have looked at him, 2 of which have said, whoa, whoa, whoa. The other team, the Twins, probably knew all along that he was going to opt out after 1 year.
But they still also
yeah.
offered him a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was less
They
money
did.
for sure, but they still offered him a 10-year deal.
Like Cody said, the deal they offered him is what you would hope the Cubs could offer. Like, hey, if you're here for a year, cool, we'll give you $35 million.
Yeah.
And we'll have a chance to win the division.
Well, that's
we
last
know
year.
you're not a right.
I'm talking about this winter. They
Yes.
still offered him a 10-year deal.
Yeah, you're right.
So they knew they had the physical. They knew
just-
all this for over a year, and they still offered him a 10-year contract. So that's when you talk about like difference of opinion and stuff. The Twins obviously knew about this long in advance of this winter and still wanted him for a double-digit year contract.
Yeah.
Gary
Whereas
says
these
it's
other
the
teams,
plate in his leg.
well, these other teams feel different, and so I don't know. It's a weird situation with. I mean, I don't know how many teams would look at the same thing the Giants and the Mets are looking at and think, okay, like this is a non-starter kind of issue, right?
It just can't be a new issue. Like
No, it's
nothing has changed,
Right. It's not like he ended the season hurt. Right.
but something is flagging to two teams that desperately want him.
right.
That's
So,
the weird
like,
thing.
now-
We're in a bidding war to basically get him.
And now, like with the report that came out last night, about it being like basically being a 50-50 chance on the Mets even
What
keeping
was it,
him.
55, 45, something like that?
Yeah,
Like,
something like
it's-
that. What's the difference?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not like
Yeah.
Well, come on, you're a gambler. That's
Yeah,
5%.
it's true.
5%
Fair.
difference.
It's like
Cody.
a coin flip, right? But with that being like out there now, like my whole thing is like if it comes to him having to take or having to cut those years in half, take like a Swanson contract in terms of years or something like that, I think the Cubs should absolutely be in there. And of course, again, put an opt out after one, or if he wants to be in a place for a couple years, put an opt out after 2 or 3 years. Like that's fine with me. Because yeah, you're right, Luke. If they add Correa to that infield, man, you're really changing the outlook of this roster.
Gary and Levante are on top of this. Gary says he broke his fibula in the minors. The plate has supposedly shifted, and the knee give negative vibrations.
I
on
thought we were getting rid of the
MRI.
shift.
Yeah, they're getting rid of the shift, so he shouldn't have to worry about it. No, that's more detail than I've seen about it. I just know that obviously it's something you're concerned about if you're offering a guy over $300 million.
I just don't know what to
okay.
make of this situation.
It's crazy.
It's insane because he was. I mean, but outside of Aaron Judge, probably the top free agent on the market this year.
Yeah.
It's probably when Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa, as far as like guys who,
As far as position players,
yeah, position players that, obviously Correa was the youngest of those shortstops. Probably had the best upside of all the shortstops. Guy that has documented leadership qualities from Houston and also with the Twins, and he had. I mean, obviously he signed the biggest contract that's not Aaron Judge, right? Like he was a very, very much wanted player, very much hot commodity on the market. And now we're sitting here post Christmas, heading into the new year, and he still hasn't signed with the team. Like it's
right.
It's insane.
mean,
I would not have thought a month ago like this is where we'd be at right now.
I'm 3/4 joking when I say the Cubs should stand ready and be ready to offer some short deal. And some other guys are joking about it, or maybe not joking about it in the chat. And then my favorite part is that someone just named Theo, burner account,
I know.
Epstein, says, because you really think the Cubs are going to outspend Steve Cohen, LMAO. Yeah. No, I don't think the Cubs are going to outspend him. I don't think anybody's going to outspend him.
yeah,
No.
yeah. If I had to make a bet on what's going to happen,
He'll end
more
up with the
likely
Mets. They'll
it's,
get
it's
it done.
that is that he's going to stay with the Mets because Steve Cohen's going to do whatever it takes to keep him anyway. I just think they want to renegotiate the contract and bring maybe still pay him a large amount of money, but maybe cut some of those years. You know what I mean? But who knows?
Brady says 5 years, 175 with an opt-out after year 2 and year 3. You doing it? I'm assuming he means player opt-out. Well, so you'd still be taking the risk of $175 million.
Yeah.
That seems unlike what the Cubs have been talking about. But Carlos Correa for 5 for 175.
I would do.
I'd do it.
I would do it.
That's a $175 million gamble I would make.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a $35 million a year. That's basically what he got from the Twins for his 3-year deal. And someone had mentioned the idea of opt-outs after like year 2 or year 3, which if he,
He's 28 right now. If
at-
you had a
at that
you
point
opt
it's
out
like
at 30.
say
if you wanted
say
to.
he gets through year 3, right? And he either gets hurt or whatever. It sucks, but you're only on the books for him for 2 more years. Or, if he's just really good and he opts out after year 3 or year 2, and then you're like, well, I mean, we had him for a couple years, and then it's nothing. So I don't, especially because we've talked about how going into the offseason, the Cubs were more interested in giving high AAV lower years than vice versa. I mean, that's a $35 million a year for 5 years. I don't Not that the Cubs are actively looking to sign Carlos Correa right now because
we have no inside info
Yeah.
on that.
But
The Cubs are waiting in the weeds right now.
But that's, I mean, if that deal presented itself and I'm Jed Hoyer, I'm definitely interested in that kind of deal.
I would think there's a lot of major league teams at least sitting in the background saying, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
There have to be a few because there were enough teams bidding for him. You don't think the Yankees are sitting there watching that too and going like, well, throw him at short?
Yeah. It'd be very irresponsible if teams weren't just, monitoring this situation.
Too good of a player not to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. And again,
it's so
anyone
crazy.
who thinks that they should avoid it, I don't understand because, again, this whole thing has to do with an injury that happened before he was even in the majors. And he, for the most of his career, he's been healthy. And the part of his leg or whatever that they're talking about, he hasn't even had an issue with in the majors. So will he age well? That remains to be seen. But he's 28.
But if you're comparing, I don't know, if you are comparing an image and the plate is here and now you look at it a couple years later and the plate is like this, are you worried that he's going to have to go in?
Are these the tectonic plates? I don't know.
Dinner plates, Bob. All right,
I don't know.
Anyways,
it's interesting.
It's just fun to watch, right?
Yeah,
it's fun to watch.
It's wild. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. And if there has been something like this, it wasn't during the era of social media where everyone, learned everything, knows everything that's going on right away when news breaks and stuff like that.
I mean, certainly not over a deal that was 13 years and $350 million. This is nuts.
Right.
No, and you're talking about the possibility. Let's say they drop it. Well, if the Mets are saying, well, we want to drop it 2 years, well, then a lot of other teams are still interested in that deal.
Yeah.
So you might as well open it up.
It's
just insane.
I'm just very curious to figure out when this is gonna resolve itself. Like when might the Mets be like, you know what, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as we initially thought. Like, let's just get this deal done. Like
Correa not wanting to really renegotiate his deal, but he also probably doesn't want to go back on the market with two physicals perceived that as a failure.
Yeah.
I think they're both going to figure it out. They're going to find a compromise.
Right now, there's three scenarios. One, Correa is left floating in the wind and two teams drop him. Or option number two is the Giants look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or number three is the Mets look ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
what Steve Cohen said, it's so Mets,
CHGO
but
doctors.
whatever.
I'm with Cody. I think like you mentioned they don't want to renegotiate as far as I think it was the years and the dollars, obviously, but there may be different levels of if he misses so and so many games, maybe he loses this amount of money, like that kind of stuff.
Just to cut some of those years down.
Just some kind of insurance policy for it.
Cohen doesn't even care about the cash. Just give him the deal and let's go. If you're so rich that you're going to spend, if you're so rich that you can afford over $100 million in luxury tax fees, what are you worried if this guy's contract doesn't play out right because his plate is shifting in his leg? You're the one that wants him. You're the guy with all the dough to just throw it around and make it rain everywhere.
Yeah, but I think they would have signed the deal by now if that's truly the case,
I think it has everything to do with just it being such a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
Because if it was, I don't know, say it was Verlander, and it's okay, well, yeah, he's old, but he just won a Cy Young and he's coming off a great season. Let's just, if we run into something, fine, but at least it's only 2 years or whatever. You know what I mean? He's
not the most out of all the guys. They've spent over $800 million in free agents this offseason. If they get this deal done, he's the least likely out of those guys to break down this year, even with a plate that allegedly or is possibly moving in his leg. It's the old guys. It's Verlander. It's all the old guys they sign.
Yeah.
Quintana. Who you could name 5 guys that'd be more likely to spend time on the injured list this season before you get to Correa.
Yeah.
Now his deal's a big one, but I'm just saying they haven't seemed too worried about signing, basically senior citizens.
Yeah. It's just a crazy situation to me. One that I again did not see coming a month ago, 3 weeks ago. When he signed that deal with the Giants, I thought it was over. And here we are.
All those people bringing up all my old rants and trolling me on Twitter, you need to chill.
Design Love says CHGO doctors. Well, we do have a pitch doctor, so technically we do qualify as doctors, all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
We're going to do our
FAX.
2022 winners and losers coming up the rest of the podcast, so stick around for that. But first, Green Ridge Farm is a Chicago local meat and cheese company offering you a better all-natural option. Makers of all-natural deli meat, sausages, and their famous meat sticks. Perfect for tailgating, happy hour, school lunches, all-natural meat sticks, hardwood smoked for 8 hours. 16 grams of protein per stick. They make a perfect post-workout snack. Meat sticks come in chicken, Black Forest beef, flavors like jalapeno cheddar and spicy chili. If you haven't tried them yet, you don't know what you're missing. They are delicious because they're made from recipes that are generations in the making, guys. All natural. They deliver a fresh, flavorful alternative at snack time. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or your local Chicagoland grocery store. And right now, when you order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com, include a pack of meat sticks in the cart. Those meat sticks are free simply by using the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat.
Moo.
Meat sticks. Oh, a lot of people making New Year's resolutions that they're going to get to the gym. Make sure you take some meat sticks in your bag when you go.
Need that protein. If you want to hit 275 on the bench. Like someone
here
I
we
know.
go. Here we go again. He's talking about his benching.
It was good.
Moriano going to come over here and
Happy
start
about it.
doing calisthenics for
We
us.
already had him on the show. Yeah.
Game Time, the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. If you've ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could, 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats to a concert so you can have the spit of your favorite artist hit you in the face, it's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on seats you thought you could never buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bulls or Blackhawks tickets created by the fans for the fans, guaranteeing the lowest price. And if you love CHGO, you're going to love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets this year through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. What concert did you sit at that you were the closest to the stage? Did you ever get close enough where the spit could hit you in the face? I have not.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence has.
I've never.
Yeah, you want to hear a little story?
Was it the Go-Go's?
Let's hear a story.
Indigo Girls.
Well, let's see here. Let's see if I can do this for you.
Who was
Give
it?
me a second here. Give me a second. Let me,
Closest I ever was Foo Fighters at Lollapalooza. In the pouring
Foo
rain.
Fighters at Lollapalooza. That's not that one.
But not close enough to feel the spit, but I did get drenched and completely covered in mud.
All right, so
Nice.
I'm going to go back to the Elevation tour of U2, which came through the United Center.
Was
back
this
in-
before they put their album on everyone's
Yes,
iPod?
Yeah. This is
Okay.
like you were probably
Never
3 years
forget.
old.
That was one of the worst things ever.
I think it was 2001, and they came to the United Center, and
You reached out and touched Bono.
I know this is what they did, a tour where they had the general admission floor, and they had a heart shape stage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So people always wanted to get inside that heart.
They wanted to get in the butt crack of the
Right.
heart.
Yeah.
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 And these were the cheapest tickets in the United Center, by the way. There was $45 to be general admission.
To be in the butt crack seats.
Yeah. Now I did. My girlfriend and I we waited out in the line. It was like an afternoon thing. We got Bari sandwiches. Hung out with the peoples. And once they let you in, I didn't go inside the butt crack. No. I just went to the outer edge to the point, to the point of the heart, the bottom point, and just
Oh,
I was
you
like
went to the bottom.
I was about 10 people to the right of it, front row, and honestly, way better because Bono and the Edge were coming out and looking at the rest of the crowd, not at the people that were in the pit. So the people in the pit were like seeing his butt crack, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was the best value and unreal. I mean, it was.
If you had
Bono
bottom-
right here.
The moral
Unreal.
of the story is Law says stay away from the butt crack. Stay away from the butt crack
If
seats.
you had
Yes.
the over on the number of
Yes.
times butt crack would be said on this podcast today, congratulations.
You win.
and not by Wet Butt
Congratulations.
23, who of course
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah.
sometimes break stories.
Good band in
Everyone's-
2022, Wet Leg. That's a whole other story.
I've never been to a concert where I've been that close.
No, I mean,
I
I guess
I did
technically.
go to a really bad Nelly concert when I lived in Peoria, and they had it on the riverfront. Had a lot of
Oh, boy.
I had a lot of $6 Bud Lights that night. They made us wait forever. He stuck at the strip club there. Yeah, that was probably the closest I've ever been to a stage, though. But it wasn't that close. Long story.
I don't need to get that close to. I don't need to be that close to a stage in general. Yeah, I know what the artist looks like.
No. There's nothing better than being in a small room with a big artist.
Well, if I could have seen the Foo Fighters at the Cubby Bear, that's the concert
yeah,
That
that I'm mad that I was not able to.
Right, like friends that we know.
Yeah, we have a
mutual
friend that
and the
a
videos that
mild
night.
Foo Fighters fan, and they were like second row at the Cubby
Yeah.
Bear.
I
that
really
would've been
want to
really
go. I really want to go to Morgan Wallen at Wrigley next year.
Pozo.
But those tickets sold out so fast. They're already like insanely priced.
As Sean says, you go to the Metro. Right up,
I
right up
would
the
have
street
loved
of
to
the-
go to that one.
I want to go to that
Close.
Blink-182 concert at the UC in May.
Oh,
But
game time
I'm-
would be the way to
yeah.
hit it.
Time
You
would be the
know,
way to do it.
game time app, get your tickets.
they're very expensive at this point.
CHGO.
No, but
all
you
right.
use the Game Time app. You wait till night of.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
wait till
That's
the
the way to
day
do it.
of. That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. Like, I'm not looking right now, but give me like May 5th. I'll take a peek, see where they're at.
Cinco de Blinko.
Exactly.
Everyone's just enjoying this conversation, guys.
Let's get to our 2022 winners and losers. Let's do winners first
Oh,
because we had a lot of losing in 2022. Let's start with the winning.
Let's do it.
And it doesn't have to, in my list, it's not necessarily all Cubs. I'm just talking baseball and with a Cubs twist to it.
yeah.
So for number 5, my winners, CHGO Sports.
Oh,
We're winners. We're sitting here, right? We made it through a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
season. We're bringing a new way to enjoy Cubs baseball
Yes.
to Cubs Nation out there. They're
You have a
they're
bunch of
part
new
of it, right?
friends.
Right. We got a lot of new friends. We were the number 3 baseball podcast in America last week,
Yep.
right?
At one point, yeah.
At one point, we were number 3 on the list, so we feel good about that.
CHGO to the moon.
And we thank everybody for that. So winners for 2022 in baseball, CHGO Cubs, certainly one of them.
Okay.
Number 4 on my list, Nico Horner. Breakout season. We weren't sure what was going to happen with Nico. We knew it was a big season coming for Nico. And for me, other than maybe 5 more home runs, he exceeded every expectation. You know, he's not going to be the long-term shortstop for the Cubs, but he showed that he certainly could have been. He was way better defensively than I ever imagined he could play shortstop. So I did doubt that going into this season. Defensively, he was great. I think he was in the list. You know, he was right there. Could have been a Gold Glove winner if it wasn't for now his current teammate, Dansby Swanson. But he was spectacular, and at the plate, he was just clutch. You know, he showed consistency throughout the year, and he showed durability more than he had in previous seasons too. And the injuries that he had were just so freakish. It's like, come on, when an umpire gets in your way, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's not like this
Not
guy's
his
injury prone
fault.
kind of thing. Like that's if the umpire's not there, Nico Horner doesn't miss 2 weeks in May. Like
No.
Yeah.
that was it.
I'm still mad at that umpire.
So for number 3, my number 3 winner in 2022, Ian Happ. Ian Happ because first-time All-Star, first-time Gold Glove winner, right? And more importantly, or as importantly for him, 1 year left on his deal. And he's watching these free agent deals go down, and we're hoping that he's going to get a nice extension from the Cubs. I think he's earned it. But if he doesn't, the fallback plan is looking at free agency next year and seeing what these guys did this last season, saying, well, I'm going to be a very, very, very rich man no matter what happens.
Not to
And he
mention-
just had his best major league
And
season.
Connect Roasters is doing
And
well.
there
Connect
you go.
Roasters is doing well.
And he came on the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and he got to be on the CHGO Cubs podcast.
And he connected to number
Number
5,
one
the
Cubs
CHGO
podcast
Cubs
out
player.
there.
yeah.
So
So Ian Happ is my number 3. Nico and Ian Happ, I think I could have gone with the young pitchers too, but for me, those 2 guys certainly stood out because I think there was more pressure on each of them going into the season. Happ to prove he could do it for a whole season because, again, the year before, you didn't know what to expect.
Yep.
Big ticket free agents, number 2.
There you go.
The big ticket free agents are rolling in cash right now. Some of them, instead of using a towel after a shower right now, are just taking $100 bills and drying their hair in their armpits. Like, they made so much money. Like I said, the Mets just spent $800 plus on just free agents this offseason. Billions were spent on free agents, and they still haven't signed guys. There's still guys to sign out there.
There's still technically a $315 million player out there.
I mean, yeah, that's right. There is still a guy like that. And nobody more than Aaron Judge. Like, if you have to pick one free agent that really did it right, Aaron Judge turned down 7 for 213 from the Yankees, bet on himself, and turned 62 home runs into $360 million.
Yeah.
Now, that's doing it right. Sometimes guys bet on themselves and it doesn't work out. I'm happy for Aaron Judge because no matter how that deal plays out, he got close to $400 million. And mostly because he hit over 60 home runs. I don't think he gets that deal if he hits 45 home runs. I don't think he gets that deal if he hits 50 home runs. And my number one winner for 2022 in baseball, with a Cubs twist, is Dusty Baker. The former Cubs manager, a guy that has been in baseball literally for decades, forever, thought he was coming to the Cubs. I remember when the Cubs signed him as their manager, and I thought to myself, they finally got it right. They finally did it. He was the hot manager, right? It was like, in Dusty, we trusty. Mm-hmm. And everybody thought it was going to happen, and it didn't work out. And I really feel like he was made to be a scapegoat on the way out. I understand people are not happy with the way he treated Pryor and Wood and the way he used them. That's up for debate, for sure. He used them a lot, but they were also his workhorses. Mm-hmm. And you see guys like Verlander and some of these guys, it didn't work out for those guys. I don't know if it was because Dusty overused them, but he didn't just forget baseball. And he went to an organization that was busted for cheating in the World Series, and they trusted Dusty. And he got it done, and I'm happy Dusty Baker got a World Series. So, number one winner, he spent a whole life trying to win as a manager. Dusty Baker gets my number one winner in 2022.
No, I agree. I mean, that's a very – I mean, he wasn't even on my list. Kind of forgot about Dusty, but that was
it has nothing to do with money. A lot of the other ones have to do with money. The Dusty one is about putting a whole lifetime into winning as a manager and finally getting it done.
Yeah, finally did it. Like, that's –
And
At
did
what,
it wearing
73? What is 73, 72?
He's very old.
wearing the sweet the gloves
Yeah,
that look like he was ready to go out to the smoker and flip over his
Wearing the smoked barbecue
brisket.
gloves. He's ready to hit Green Street Meats after
And
this.
he invented the high five, so he's still got that.
Invented the high five.
He's got
That's
a high five number one, World Series manager number 2 on his
And
resume.
he's got to have a toothpick endorsement at this
Oh,
point.
yeah, he has to.
Who's next? Is it me next?
Yeah, you can go.
All right. What do I? So my winners at number 5 went with Matt Mervis. I think we're kind of discussing keeping it MLB centric.
Sure. Yeah,
technically, he's
do it however you want. I never considered the minor leaguers, but
yeah,
I see Sean's with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like number one of all the minor leaguers. Like I know Pete Crow Armstrong blew up, and he's the top ranked prospect, and a lot of the pitchers who I'll get to had really good years, but he went from a guy who he was undrafted technically in 2020 just because it was a shorter draft. He didn't have a great 2021, kind of went into the season. He wasn't in the top 30 prospect list. He's kind of unknown in this system. And a year later, or a few, 9 months later, he's probably looking like the opening day first baseman for the Chicago Cubs.
With an obvious shirt.
Yeah, like he went from South Bend all the way up through AAA in 1 year and had success at all 3 levels. Like he had a great year for a guy who's, came out of Duke. I think it was Duke, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Duke.
Yep.
He came out of Duke, again, undrafted. Would have been drafted had it been a 20-round draft like usual. Didn't get drafted, but then, here he is. He made the adjustments, made the strides they needed to do, and now he looks like if the Cubs don't sign like a Trey Mancini or whatever, he's very likely going to be the first baseman on opening day. So I couldn't make a top 5 winners list without putting Matt Mervis in. He made minor league player of the year, like you said that to me earlier. He's
for the Cubs.
Yeah, for the Cubs. Minor league player of the year for the Cubs. Like he had the biggest year for minor leaguers. Number 4, Cubs young pitchers. That includes guys, I guess, relatively young, like Justin Steele and Keegan Thompson. Like they're older than me. They're like 27, 28. But they're a little less experienced in the big leagues. Both those guys kind of blew up and had really good years. Steele maybe a little more so because he proved he's a starter and a rotation guy. But Keegan didn't have that kind of success that Steele had in the rotation, but he was dominant as a reliever, multi-inning weapon. Like he's probably, if you talk about long relievers and like how important they are now, and then you match them up across the league, like he's near the top. He proved that this last year. Like he was so good out of the bullpen.
And a candidate for mayor. I don't mean to interrupt.
There you go.
But Cody's made him a possible candidate.
Yeah,
for mayor.
I don't know when
Suck
that
it, Andrew
election is.
McCutcheon.
I don't know when that election is, but I know Cody will put him on the ballot.
Right.
But you got those guys. But then you have, Wisniewski was
Lori.
really good when he came up. Javier Assad out of nowhere kind of impressed people.
Yes.
Guys in the minor leagues that are having success that are relievers. Brandon Hughes came up out of nowhere and he became like a back end bullpen guy. Like those guys all had really good success, and that also goes to when we talk about this Cubs pitching infrastructure and how much has improved. Like that, these are examples of how well the Cubs have overhauled that part of the player development process. When for a long time it looked like they couldn't develop any pitching themselves, and they've done a lot better job of it. And as much as we've already seen guys come up and prove that, you're going to start seeing more and more as the next couple of years go on. My number 2, MLB shortstops. I mean, you saw it with the way Dansby Swanson signed for as much money as he did, and that was way below what other guys did. Xander Bogaerts, Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, if he ever does sign, all got crazy high amounts of money, crazy high number of years, and that's gonna have ripple effects going forward. Like Nico Horner, we talked about the Cubs extending him, but seeing the market now, he's gonna get a bigger contract than probably what we expected going into this offseason. If they do extend him at some point this offseason, he's gonna get more money. I mean, you look at Jeremy Pena and how well he did this year with Astros. He's going to get a lot of money whenever his extension comes, or if he decides to go into free agency, he's going to get a ton of money. He's a rookie that won the World Series MVP.
Yeah.
And like MLB shortstops went crazy this year, and it did have something to do with the fact that everyone was looking for shortstops. The shift makes shortstops and their defensive ability even more important.
Shift, right?
Yeah, shifts.
Okay, shift.
Shifts.
The shift.
Yeah, that makes shortstop their defensive ability even more important. Like shortstops, just their value to teams just skyrocketed, and you could tell by the contracts they signed this offseason. And then my number 1, Luke kind of mentioned it, but Aaron Judge, guy that got offered a really sizable contract extension by the Yankees, said no, bet on himself, went out, set the American League home run record. I know people don't really care about that, but he set the American League home run record, hit 62 home runs, and now he's getting paid $360 million over 9 years. Like he went in there, bet on himself, said no to the deal that the Yankees gave him, and did everything he had to do to get a way better contract. He's the biggest winner of a guy that could have just signed, and he's the Yankees' first captain since Derek Jeter now. Like that's
crazy.
As
and the
much
biggest contract in Yankees history.
As much as that really doesn't mean anything, it does mean something.
It does.
To the Yankees organization, Yankees fans, whatever. And to say that he's the next in line after Derek Jeter, like I guess that's a pretty big accomplishment for a guy like that. So biggest winner of 2022 is Aaron Judge.
Nice.
All
Like
right.
it. Cody, what do you got?
I can't argue with any of those. So everyone here at CHGO Cubs in the chat, they all know that I'm all about Dell metrics and I'm all about vibes. So let's start with number 5, Frank's middle seat. I mean, just the audacity of these people who took the outside seat and made the Major League Baseball player sit in the middle seat. But also the
Today you're lucky to even get a seat on
his
Southwest Airlines.
his humbleness to just take the middle seat.
Right.
First off, is it tells me more about Frank Schwendell than I knew before that story came out. So yeah, that guy and the seat itself, that
Schwindell's
winners.
middle seat.
All
All right.
the middle seat.
I like
all right?
that.
Number 2. All right, Fernando Tatis. Now, you might be thinking he's a loser. We'll get to that eventually.
Total
but to me,
loser.
he's a winner because he took steroids because he took steroids, and I think that steroids should be brought back to baseball because steroids saved the league 20 years ago. Sorry if you disagree. That's just my opinion. All right.
Pro steroids. Got it.
Pro steroids guy right here. Number 3, the left field bleachers at Wrigley Field. All my friends who I hung out with out there this year, shout out to you if you watch the show or listen to it via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever your podcast. Number 3 number 3 baseball podcast in America last week. Just a reminder, never forget.
And not just Cubs baseball.
And number 1 for Cubs baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
Wrigley Field, left field bleachers, always a vibe. Number 2, a little bit more serious, Justin Verlander. Now, Justin Verlander, he's like 39, 40 years old, wins a Cy Young, just won the World Series. He got paid a ton of money. And he goes home to Kate Upton every night. I mean, this guy's the biggest winner of them all.
He's winning. But he's, wait, I was to say biggest winner of them all, but
Almost.
you ranked him number 2.
Almost. Number 1 is Aaron Judge.
Still Aaron Judge.
It's still
It is.
Aaron Judge.
It is.
Now, if Verlander wins another ring or something like that, maybe I could flip him around. I don't know. It was really hard for me to decide. But you break a record that had been, untouched for so long in terms of the American League. I don't care what Roger Maris Jr. says about who the home run kings are. He can suck it. So yeah, Aaron Judge. He, like you guys said, he bet on himself, made a ton of money, and he did it in like one of the toughest markets to do it in one of the toughest media markets media people to have to deal with. So nothing but respect from me to that guy. Yeah. So that's my winners.
Did you see Collada? Ricketts 5, Ricketts 4, Ricketts 3, Ricketts 2, 1, CHGO. Ricketts saved a ton of money again, and CHGO let me complain about him.
I like it. I like it. I
Give
like
me
the
the avenue
list.
for it. I have a question about Justin Verlander. Verlander and Kate Upton, Tom Brady and Giselle.
Well, they're divorced.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is Giselle actually has made more money than Tom Brady. As rich as Tom Brady is, Giselle was the one who had more money in her modeling career. Do you think Kate Upton's made more money than Justin Verlander? Kate Upton's not as worldwide like Giselle, but I feel like she probably made more money than even Verlander.
Honestly, when I think about Kate Upton, all I can think about is that YouTube video. It's called Caddyshack.
Oh boy.
I'm not. You stay here and watch this show, but after the show, if you want to look it up, then that to me that might say she makes more money than Justin Verlander has.
Quick Google search says her net worth is $20 million.
Oh, I don't believe it's more than
I feel like it'd be more, but I'm saying $20 million.
well, then
all over the place.
he's made way more money than she
But
has.
I don't know. I don't know how net worth works. I don't know
I
how
don't
that
either.
Yeah, that
goes
seems-
into.
she
I don't know how
was
that
like-
goes into how much money you make, and it's like I don't know.
Also, I haven't seen Kate Upton modeling much lately, right?
Yeah, she's just going to baseball games.
Yeah.
Right.
She's like,
Yeah, she was
oh,
going
whatever.
and hanging out with Justin Verlander, supporting him, being
Interesting.
a great wife.
Astro
So
superfan.
clearly she's made way less money than Giselle.
I'd say so.
But that kinda surprises me.
Her peak was like when I was in college. So.
Yeah, I was in high school.
It's pretty obvious. We can tell.
All right, so now we're going to have our losers will be coming up.
I don't
after,
hide anything here, Law Dog.
No,
Yeah,
there's
of course not.
Cody doesn't sugarcoat anything. Chicago, you've already got the best coverage for your favorite team, so get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Foco has you covered from Soldier Field to the living room, north side or south side, hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Get decked out like tomorrow with apparel from the leader in sports, merch, and collectibles, Foco. If you're looking for that perfect gift for the football fan in your life, Foco's got you covered with hoodies to fight the Lake Michigan breeze. Could have used it last week. Check out Foco.com or click the link in the description below for all your non-presale items. Presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off.
Kate Upton and Justin Verlander, they might like playing bags together. I don't know. But if someone knows, let me know, and I can refer them to Chi-Town Cornhole, our favorite cornhole brand. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the number one cornhole provider for Chicagoland and
might.
Illinois since
you never
2007. I know it's Chicago, but, I would love to, let them know, right? Their signature box-style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Our cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders recessed in on the back, LEDs that light up the whole, and exterior handles for easy carrying and handcrafted scorekeepers. Veteran-owned and operated. They ship anywhere. Like I said, Verlander and
in
Kate
New York
Upton.
now.
Yeah, they
In
can ship
Queens.
to New York. And they offer local pickups, specializing in corporate designs for your company's next marketing or social event, wedding gifts, and gifts for all occasions, and especially for tailgaters and backyard barbecues. So go check out their website, ChiTownCornhole.com, and make sure to follow them on Instagram at ChiTown Custom Cornhole Boards. Shout out to Tom. He's a great dude.
Yeah, great stuff. I don't know where they are right now, but our cornhole boards look pretty cool.
Yeah, I knew the chat was going to go there eventually, but we're just going to let it go.
Shout out to Joel. Shout out to him.
We let it go, Cody. We let it go. Anyways,
Just like Frozen.
yeah, let's let it go, just like Frozen. Let's get to the 2022 losers, okay?
Oh, man.
Losers 2022.
Yeah. Oh, this
now,
is
I
great.
know you guys
Joel.
kept it really generic.
Joel, man.
I will go with slightly, I will do specific players, and I will do specific teams. And actually, when I players, it's not the players themselves that are losers. It's the free agent signing, right? So for number 5, the Cubs free agent signing of Andrelton Simmons did not work out. It did not. There's no way you can say that was a signing by Jed Hoyer and the Cubs. He had 13 hits for the Cubs, and he got paid $4 million. That is a losing free agent signing.
Yeah.
Can't say
Yeah.
anything about it. And actually, I thought it was a decent enough signing because we're like, well, we need some defense up the middle with all the ground ball pitchers, similar to what we've been doing this offseason. He was great defensively throughout his career. It just didn't work out. Number 4 is also a Cubs free agent signing that did not work out. Wade Miley also liked that start. And to be fair, Wade Miley made 8 starts and got paid $10 million. He wasn't even ready to start the season, right? Yeah. We got to spring training. We're like, why is Wade Miley not appearing in Cactus League games?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it became, why is Wade Miley still not pitching in Cactus League games? Why is Wade Miley? And we found out injury problems. So they rolled the dice. They gave him $10 million. It didn't work out. That said, I still wouldn't be against the Cubs giving him a less than $10 million deal, this maybe $5 million this offseason, and rolling the dice as a depth piece again, because when Wade Miley did pitch, his ERA was good and fast games, guys, fast games. Yeah. So I'm not saying Wade Miley is a loser. I'm just saying last year's signing of Wade Miley turned out to be a loser. Number 3, we've piled on him, or at least I have a lot. Jonathan VR. Again, it's not the guy, it's the signing. I like the idea very much so of signing Jonathan VR. I thought it was a really good signing.
Yeah, we all did. We all did.
Guys, it didn't work out. He played 46 games with the Cubs. He had a negative 1.1 WAR.
Yep.
And in 46 games, he struck out 42 times. But more importantly, in 46 games with the Cubs, he had 8 errors in the field. I still don't know what happened. I still don't know what went wrong, but it was not a good free agent signing. That's in hindsight. Again, hindsight, because I was with Jed Hoyer on that one, turned out to be a loser of a signing for the Cubs in 2022. Now, let's get to some teams that were losers in 2022. Yep. At least the Cubs were rebuilding, right? We knew the process they were taking. We knew they were headed towards selling. The New York Mets started spending big already last offseason. They thought they were going to be contenders. I have friends who are Mets fans. Jerry Seinfeld, we know, big Mets fan.
Oh,
That was your worst Seinfeld ever.
I know, I've done better.
It wasn't your best one. The Mets were terrible, right? Like a total bust, complete bust. But they were not the number 1 loser in 2022.
Well, they won 101 games, but
they won, but they
really disappointed.
It led to nothing.
Yeah, and they choked away the division at the end of the year.
You could see it coming.
They
got it was coming for them.
Swept by the Cubs. When they sorely needed not to get swept by the Cubs.
Yeah, that's right.
Even Pete Alonso was like, we got swept by the Cubs. That was one of the teams that he was like, how the hell did we get swept by the Chicago Cubs?
They had bigger expectations in winning 100 games. Are they losers? Yes, because they disappointed their fan base yet again, so much so that their owner went out and spent $800 million plus $100 million in luxury tax fines this offseason.
If Correa signs.
Yes. And we'll see if it turns out to be the right move. My number 1 loser for 2022 in baseball, Chicago White Sox. Mm-hmm. They're the biggest loser in Chicago baseball history, that team right there, because I agree with a lot of people that thought at the very least they're going to win the division.
Yeah.
At the very least a division winner. And I thought they were going to make a deep playoff run. I did think that they were a player short, but I still thought that even though their offseason was meh, you know, they got Pollock for their outfielder, and they could have gone much bigger. They could have added Correa. Yeah. I still thought to myself, well, Rick Hahn at the deadline will do something for our Sox guys here at CHGO, and he'll add one of those players. It was already so ugly by that time. Mm-hmm. There was no saving that team. And the Tony La Russa thing was the biggest part of it, right?
Yeah.
I feel bad for Southside fans. Their team was the biggest loser of the 2022 baseball season.
I mean, we sat here and argued if they were the biggest disappointment in Chicago sports this century.
Outside of like individual injuries to D Rose and stuff.
Yeah. It's like that one. 04 Cubs is one.
It's up there. This Sox team is definitely up there.
Yeah. It was tough to watch. I have my own thoughts because they were on my list, which I'll get to. But my number 5 loser, games without a pitch clock. You know why? Because the pitch clock is gone, or pitch clock is coming next year. So those 4-hour games, if we still have a 4-hour game, I'm going to be pissed because this pitch clock is supposed to not let that happen.
We're all losers for a long game.
Yeah,
Everybody loses.
Everyone loses for long games, but
I agree.
Games with no pitch clock, gone. You lost. You're out. We're getting more 2.5-hour games, and I'm excited for that. Number 4, Cubs opening day, first base options.
Wolf.
Frank Schwendell and Alfonso Rivas. I mean, again, it's nothing against the two guys. They just didn't take advantage of a really good opportunity. An opportunity where, again, now we're looking at a scenario where Matt Mervis, who started 2022 in high A, is now probably going to be the opening day starting first baseman, when you had Schwendell and Rivas, who both, Schwendell specifically had a really awesome 2021 with the Cubs when he got called up. But Rivas, in a small sample, also had some success there. Both those guys had the ability to, make that spot theirs for the, it was theirs for the taking. Either one could have went in and took over and become maybe not the first baseman of the future, but the first baseman that the Cubs counted on for a few years, right? Mm-hmm. And neither of them did. I mean, Frank Schwendell got DFA'd mid-season. Alfonso Rivas just got DFA'd, last week at some point?
And he made multiple trips to Iowa.
Yeah. I mean, he had
Schwendy had to sit middle seat on a plane.
Yeah, I'm telling you, though, at least that middle seat story, we'll always have it.
But it's
and all the stories at Murphy's.
Yeah, it's just like those guys, great guys, and love interacting with them. It didn't work out for them because they just didn't take advantage of the opportunity presented to them, and that's why they made this list.
That's fair.
My number 3 is Fernando Tatis.
Loser.
Was, arguably the best player in baseball and didn't play all year because he got in a motorcycle accident and then tested positive for steroids. I know, Cody, you love them, but they are still illegal.
Steroids are awesome.
They are still illegal in the game, so you can't get caught doing it, and he did. And not only did he miss the entire year, he missed the whole playoff run, and he will now, I guess it's only 12 games out of 162, but he's missing the first 12 games of next year. So.
I mean, it pains me because I purchased the obvious shirt that says Fernando Tatis is good at baseball, and it showed up in my mailbox 48 hours before that news came out that he tested positive.
Oh, my God.
I've still never worn it.
So you might want to change your number 2 loser to Lawrence.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, Law.
That's fine.
So
honorable mention.
Still
Lawrence.
a great player, and the Padres just went out and signed a shortstop, so now he has to move out of shortstop, move out of his position that he was really good at. So he's moving to the outfield.
He wasn't great defensively as shortstop.
But he was.
He is who he is. Yes, he's a great player.
He's a great player. He's just missing an entire year of years where he could be.
And he's going to miss the first month of next year too.
12 games. I just there's 12 games.
Oh, is it just 12 games?
Yeah,
okay.
I think because I think they count the playoff games that the Padres played. I want to say they do. So it's supposed to be only 12 games of next year, but I could be wrong on that.
Interesting.
Do something stupid.
Number 2 is White Sox. Luke pretty much gave everything you need to know about that one. I'm pretty sure I picked them in our off-season or our preseason poll to win the World Series, and they didn't even come close. White Sox, that's in terms of Chicago sports. And we've talked about how Chicago sports are just embarrassing right now. This whole 2022 has been maybe one of the worst years in Chicago sports history. But the Sox were supposed to be one of the teams that didn't, and maybe they were going to be good, and they were going to, they would not have let Chicago sports as a whole sink to the depths that it has. And obviously they were a main culprit in that, just how disappointing of a season they had. My number 1 is owners not spending money.
Looking at you, Oakland.
Because there's a lot of owners that are spending money, and they are the good teams. They're the Padres that, went to or went however far they went.
NLCS,
there you go. And then they went out and signed Xander Bogaerts, and we're in on a bunch of players, so they're spending money. I mean, the Phillies signed all these guys, and people are like, "Oh, how are they going to fit?" Right? Well, they went to the World Series, right? It just Steve Cohen. I mean, yeah, the Mets blew the division, but they still won 101 games, and Steve Cohen's opening the checkbook to try to sign Carlos Correa and others.
Yeah,
it's just. Yeah, I get it that there are large market teams, there are mid market teams, there are small market teams, but these owners themselves individually have a ton of money. If they really
they're all billionaires.
If they really cared about putting a winning product on the field, they could very easily.
You both have sat
There you
here
go.
exactly. You both have sat
Andrew
here.
Benintendi's still the biggest signing in White Sox history.
Pathetic.
Like,
yeah. You both have sat here and mentioned the White Sox and how disappointing they were. My biggest thing for them was that they didn't do anything going into last season to essentially put themselves over the top to even really be considered as a World Series contender. A lot of people thought they could be if everyone did exactly what they did the year before, but the fact that Reinsdorf didn't spend more money to put into that roster, it's a big reason why they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah,
because they relied so much on guys they already had to completely to either like they relied on Lance Lynn to be a Cy Young contender again, and he's like what 30? He was like 35. Like
Hefty
how can
dude.
you rely on that?
Yeah, I mean Giolito had what was the whole thing?
Season.
Giolito went from like the worst pitcher in baseball to a Cy Young candidate, but they were relying on that to happen again. I mean, it's just so obviously we have to get to yours, but I'm like that's why like the owners that want to win are the ones that are spending the money. Like you really want to win, you will spend the money. You can see which owners really truly care about winning and who really don't. Yeah. You can see it.
Yeah, I mean, Cohen spending all this money really makes the owners of like Oakland and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, and it really does make the White Sox look even worse too.
It's
because they're in Chicago at least. You know what I mean?
But
so yeah,
in my opinion, Steve Cohen good for basation.
I'm with you. I think he's great for baseball too.
There you go, Cody.
Okay, so my losers. Let's start with the 111-win Dodgers getting bounced in the playoffs again. They, arguably had one of the greatest seasons ever, and then lost to the Padres in the NLDS. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Listen, we can sit here and complain about Ricketts and trading Eloy and Cease for Quintana and all these things, but at the end of the day, Cubs won the World Series in 2016, and the Dodgers, they have one World Series, and it was the Mickey Mouse season. Like, they're good every single year. They make the playoffs every single year. Yeah. They've won their division, like, I don't know how many times in a row. But, like, does anyone take their one World Series they have seriously? I sure as hell don't. So, whatever. they have one of the greatest seasons that they've ever had, and they choked again in the playoffs. Hate to see it. Speaking of West Coast teams, Jock Peterson's face. Remember when, whenever Tommy Pham slapped Jock Peterson because of something to do with fantasy football?
Yeah. I was thinking about putting Tommy Pham on my list because he got exposed for caring that much about fantasy football.
Yeah, but man, that slap, like that guy's kind of crazy. I don't want to be Jock Peterson's face.
Who slapped somebody over fantasy?
Tommy Pham.
Come on.
Well, Jock Peterson's face definitely lost that day.
I'm playing for a lot of money.
And it was one of the more bizarre stories in baseball.
I mean, also, that happened like 6 months later. Yeah. It wasn't like it happened the Monday morning after you just blew it.
It was like definitely Tommy Pham held that grudge for so long. He's like, the moment I play whatever team he's on.
His face was a loser, but we were all winners for all the details that came out afterwards where they bickered back and forth on social media.
That's why it's Jock Peterson's face. All right. Okay. The rest of us are winners. Number 3, Chris Sale's bike. So Chris Sale, he came back from Tommy John. Then I think the very first game he pitched, he got a comebacker that did something to his pinky, broke or whatever. And then with not even weeks, like days later, he was riding a bike or something and he wrecked it or something, and it made him get hurt even more. Everyone's talking about Chris Sale, but no one's talking about the bike. Like, what happened to the bike? To me,
wait, what about
was
that?
It a Schwendell?
I was gonna say, what about the dugout?
Yeah, the minor league locker room where he tore it all up.
Well, that was when he was on a rehab assignment, right?
That's also a loser.
Maybe Chris Sale just in general.
Yeah.
But
I bet if Chris Sale has a bike, it was a Huffy.
Either way.
No, because he gets all
bad
Huffy.
Sox jerseys are also on there. Maybe not 2022, but
Okay, so Chris Sale's bike or Chris Sale, whatever you want to call it. Number 2, Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, I said he was a winner because I'm a big fan of bringing steroids back. Well, he's a loser because he got caught, man. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That was my big thing is he got caught doing it.
Yeah.
He got caught. And this is after the motorcycle thing.
Yeah, and the motorcycle thing doesn't help either. He's really, he wasted a whole year of, his prime years.
Right.
I get it.
People should have known when he started benching 225, something wasn't right.
Yep. It wasn't in 275.
275, sorry.
And then number 1 is Tony La Russa's 2-strike walks. I think that happened twice. Walking guys with 2 strikes.
Intentional walks.
Yeah, 2-strike intentional walks. Yes.
Oh man.
I'm just really excited.
When you
to be
look
here.
back on the White Sox Tony La Russa era, the second era of Tony La Russa,
it was beautiful.
I think that's what I will remember the most is all of the uproar that happened when he would walk guys intentionally when they had 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think Trey Turner was the big
times.
one, right?
Multiple times.
What are you doing?
Trey
Go
Turner
back
was the
to
big
sleep
one,
in the
right?
dugout in the first inning.
Yeah, that was
game.
him sleeping in the dugout could have
That
been
too.
up there.
Yeah.
The fan telling or him having the fan have to tell him to pinch runners at Adam Engel.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
There was a few things where it's man, come on, Tony. TLR.
Stay
man.
awake.
Stay awake.
Just stay with us.
And stay away.
Very
What
good.
a
So those
season
are our
on the south
winners
side.
and losers for 2022. We'll have some more, yearly review type stuff coming up the next couple of days. But that was fun. I did want to point out one thing before we go today. It's been a great chat, a lot of good people. Rich Hill, Pirates, 1 year, $8 million. The former Cub turns 43 in March. He is the oldest player in baseball.
It's like the new Jamie Moyer, isn't he?
Indeed.
Jamie Moyer pitched till he
Yes.
was 45.
Yes, but Rich Hill,
Yeah.
I was telling Jake before the thing, I remember him crying in a clubhouse because his Cubs career was basically over. And now that I went back and looked at some of the details, I think it was St. Louis. He had a horrible game in St. Louis where he had those control problems. Remember, he was throwing him to the backstop and stuff. And they sent him to the minors. His season was so bad that he ended up pitching in the Venezuelan Winter League after being a starter in the rotation of the Cubs team that went to the playoffs, is how he started the season. He ended in a Venezuelan Winter League and then was traded the next offseason to the Orioles. To think that he has rebuilt his career
And he's still pitching.
after basically have the yips and is still pitching at 43, and this contract will push him over $70 million for his career.
Impressive.
45 or 46 of which was 3 years with the Dodgers.
Yeah, looking forward to those Rich Hill revenge games.
Good for Rich Hill.
Yeah.
Good for Rich Hill to still be in it at 43 and making that kind
There's
of
definitely
dough.
going to be like a 6-inning, 3 hits,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to Wrigley.
He
Good
almost
for him.
didn't he have he almost had a
No-hitter.
no hitter, but
Yeah.
it went to extra innings because it was 0-0, right?
Yeah.
So
I believe
that was
he
against
pitched-
the Pirates. I'm
yeah,
pretty
Sean
sure.
was. This is what I was just going to say, Sean. Rich Hill, Game 3, 2007 playoffs.
Yeah.
Pitched for the
yeah,
Cubs.
I remember those
That was
games.
That
team that
playoff
couldn't
series
hit.
hurt me.
Both
Couldn't
those.
hit.
07. 08 probably was worse.
08 was
08
worse
was
against
worse.
the Dodgers.
Getting
That
started
was-
08 was the
Dodgers.
first time that I had
Total
like
disaster.
angry, irrational thoughts.
They were the best
wanting
team
to,
in the
break
National
things.
League, and then all of a sudden nobody could hit in the playoffs.
Yep.
That was it.
03, I cried like a little baby. 08, I was just angry.
Anyways,
Did you rant?
In 08, I mean, probably
Maybe.
on my couch. What I remember the most about how 08 ended was that my mom had to legitimately yell at me and tell me to stop, just stop, because I was so mad.
stop with the
I gue-
negative vibes, Cody.
I guess we need to.
Switch your middle name.
She
we need to
straight
put
up
that in our
Cody
back.
Allen, you stop with the negative vibes.
We got to put that in our back pocket during the
Yeah.
season. For him.
That's right.
I just knew that I was gonna have to go to school the next day full of Cardinal fans that were gonna give me a lot of crap.
There you go.
I knew it. I knew it was gonna happen, and it did.
All right, let's wrap it up. We want to make sure you subscribe to the podcast. I
Yeah,
know,
we're
yes-
very close to, I believe,
we're-
23,000.
Our Jordan podcast.
Yeah, I don't know
almost,
if we
right?
ever got to it. We're like less than 100 away from 23,000
On
So-
YouTube,
on
CHGO
on
Sports.
YouTube. So please go
Yeah.
ahead and subscribe.
Still 22.9 something.
We're getting close. We're still close.
Tell your
Closing
friends.
in. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Oh, that's Hawk Harrelson. Sorry. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. For Ryan Herrera and Cody Del Mendo, I'm Luke Stuckmeyer. Take care. We will see you Wednesday, 1:20. Until then, fly the W.